Week number 13. Let's get at it. It is Saving Thursday presented by Bet Victor in our Calgary snowy, cool studios. Producer Jack and myself, Ryan Pinder, way out on the left coast in their palatial. What is it? The Wall Center Studios?
The iconic Wall Center, downtown Vancouver.
Very nice. It's a special Thursday. One game already done, 2 to go. We're used to teeing up one game. We will, I guess, hone in and tighten the focus on the Miami-Green Bay game, which sees the fair weather Miami Dolphins. Dolphins don't like cold water. You don't see them up in Nunavut. Venturing in to Lambeau Field, the most frozen tundra of the entire NFL circuit. Should be a great one tonight. The afternoon game is Giants-Cowboys. We'll touch that. And Producer Jack, we have a final. Is that correct? We can now say that the curtain...
Yeah, the Lions won. I didn't really see what happened. The Bears were in field goal range, and then all of a sudden it was like 3rd and 20-something, 7 seconds left, and they just air it out.
It sounds like they picked up the first down to get them deep into field goal range, and then there was a flag. It came back, and then boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Classic Bears.
Yeah, and it's a nice cover from the Bears. Again, they find very painful ways to lose tight games. Hail Mary, blocked field goal, overtime field goal, and now, hey, you had the ball, a touchdown could have won, field goal could have sent you overtime. Yeah, we just,
I mean,
and the Bears.
It is the Bears, but you've got to like what you're seeing out of Caleb Williams. Like these last
you need
few
to get this
weeks.
guy in a line. That's,
Yeah,
I mean, he's running for his life half these plays, but you know, when you put the lens of rookie quarterback and view him, he's an incredible talent. They're going to spend a lot of draft capital on the O-line, I'm sure. They've already got a nice receiving core. The defense isn't bad. Mm-hmm. I think in the grand life cycle of a NFL football club, you have to like where the Chicago Bears are at. Maybe you don't love your coach, but that's easy to fix. You'll find another one.
Yeah, I mean, the only weaknesses would be the coach and the O-line. So if they just change that up in the offseason, like you said, the defense is great. Montez Sweat's been unreal. Kevin Byard in the secondary. Like, they've got a lot of pieces. And, yeah, they just need those little added bonuses and, a good coach, and they'll turn their franchise around.
23-20, the final and the first. Happy American Thanksgiving, Tyson. How are you celebrating? Our producer, Jack, is actually a dual citizen, I believe. He's a holder of multiple passports. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if we're allowed to say that or not, but I'm just making it up. So happy Thanksgiving to you, Jack. Thanks for working, you unpatriotic bastard. We actually went out for lunch today.
Whoa.
One of us ordered a hot turkey sandwich in honor of the occasion. Jack went with some chicken salad thing. What are we doing, Jack? This was available.
I know.
This was right there.
As soon as I saw it, I regret not getting it.
I was like, dude, you know what day it is? We've been talking about turkey all morning, and you
I'm going to do something tonight for dinner.
All right. Okay. So
I'll make up for it later.
You going to make yourself a turkey?
I can't just fold over midday. I don't like, if I ate that, I'd be toast.
Yeah, we did follow it with an espresso shot, which is the move here to stay awake on Saving Thursday because we got 2 football games left. We can't let the tryptophan win just yet, Tyson.
No.
Let's get to some quick news around the league, and then we'll focus in on Thursday. Danny Dimes, maybe not a bad spot in Minnesota. Look what they did for Sam Darnold's career. Mm-hmm. He's gone from New York. We saw it coming. Asked for his release. He gets it. Now he's signed with the Vikings. Just a thought on what lies ahead for Daniel Jones and for the Vikings.
Well, this is, bad on my part, but this is breaking news to me. I did not see this morning. So.
It was yesterday. So, yeah, whatever coma you were in, we're glad to have you out of it.
I didn't see it yesterday, but that's that's wild. I mean, I'm happy for him. Like we talked about last week, like, he was going to sign somewhere. He's not a great starter, but he's a great backup. And you kind of knew that he was going to find a job. And he said he wanted to go to a contender where, like, he probably could have gone to the Raiders. They showed interest and he probably would have been the starter. But I don't know. That's not necessarily, I guess, what he wants. He kind of wants to learn from a good system, I'm assuming, behind Sam Darnold. And who knows, like, if Darnold struggles down the stretch, which, I mean, he hasn't all year, but if it does happen, Daniel Jones could get in some play.
It's not a long-term fit. They drafted J.J. McCarthy. He's going to be their guy eventually. But I do think there's probably something to be learned from Kevin O'Connell about how did you take Sam Darnold from this, like, scrap heap, piece of aluminum in the auto wrecking yard and turn them into, what looks like a nice sports car here. Like, even if Daniel Jones isn't there more than just another month, what did they do to help resurrect Sam Darnold? Because anytime we talked about Daniel Jones and his failures to this point, there was always that little asterisk, which is like, oh yeah, but remember Baker Mayfield?
Mhm.
Remember Neil Smith? Remember Sam Darnold? He wants to be the next guy on that list of everyone thought I was just a backup, but I can still play. I don't think that's the worst place for him to go to collect information.
Sorry, where? Minnesota?
Yeah.
You don't think it is?
I don't think it's the worst place. I think
sorry. I
they
thought
literally put the paddles to Sam Darnold's career and resuscitated this.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think that is a great place. And he probably chose that spot because of that reason. Like, oh, hey, Kevin O'Connell was able to resurrect Sam Darnold's career. Why can't he do the same for me? You know, whether he's starting or not, still going to be the reps in practice and all that he's going to be able to pick up all the fundamentals that he might not have learned in New York. And hopefully he can turn that into maybe a starter's job next year.
Yeah, we will see. That it was the big piece of news this week. The other one, Tommy Kadlitz, DeVito, hurt, not going to start this afternoon. It'll be the compelling Thursday showdown of number 2 quarterback against number 3 quarterback between these two immensely valuable and miserable franchises, the Cowboys and the Giants. It'll be Cooper Rush against Drew Lock in the afternoon game today. Maybe not the worst for Malik Neighbors, but your third choice ain't your first choice. And that's kind of where you're at in Giants land.
Well, I mean, this Giants offense might perform better now with Drew Lock, because I think they were kind of making a tanking move by starting DeVito, and now they don't really have that option, right? So I kind of upgrade a lot of these Giants wide receivers, especially in this matchup. Trayvon Diggs is out, but I had this circled on the calendar. I was excited for Cooper Rush and Drew Lock to start Thanksgiving. What better matchup? What better 2 quarterbacks could we have gotten?
Oof, not ideal. Let's stay there for a moment. Dallas did beat the Commanders last week. It's been a miserable run ahead of that. I guess, I don't know, like the Giants, they got 4 wins. Okay. I'm hoping 2 bad football teams can play a good football game, because it's got the eyes of everyone. There's no competition for viewership here. Giants are favored. They're underdogs, plus 160. 3.5 points is your spread. Dallas at home is favored. And I don't know. A week ago, I would have said Dallas can't be favored against anyone, but they just did beat the Commanders. That's a quality victory.
No, for sure. And I mean, Cooper Rush didn't look terrible. Like, he's been serviceable, and I kind of understand why they're going with Cooper Rush over Trey Lance to try and save their season. But I mean, we could see a decent football game here, because I kind of like what the offense is doing a lot better than what the defenses are doing.
That's fair. And, looking at this, the Giants have been susceptible to running backs catching and running the ball. Mm-hmm. Feels like this could be a big Rico Dowdle day if it goes well for the Cowboys. Yes, you want Cooper Rush to get it into CeeDee Lamb's hands as many times as possible, whether that's end arounds, route running, line them up wherever you want, like get it in your playmakers' hands a bunch. But it's also a game where if you stay committed to the run game, most teams have had success against the Giants. Yeah,
they don't have a great run defense. And Rico Dowdle was handed the keys a couple weeks ago, and he has looked pretty good. He's also used in the pass game, so I really like that look. Like, Rico Dowdle could be heavily leaned on in this game, and he could have a monster performance.
Let's go around the horn. This morning game is final. Detroit 23, Chicago 20. Detroit moves to 11-1. The afternoon game right in front of you there. 37.5 is not a high number. It is saying these are 2 scrap heap quarterbacks, and they kind of are, but now their defenses are much to scream about either. Jack, do you have a thought or a take on the afternoon game here?
I just think the Giants are such a disaster. I don't think some of the players on the team like the way they handled the Jones. Everyone seems to be like torn apart there. I'm just going to take the Cowboys minus 3.5 at home Thanksgiving.
2-9, the Giants.
The Giants are just so bad. And
2-9.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, Did you hear what Malik Neighbors said after last game? Like, he was obviously pissed off because he didn't get the ball. He was like, yeah, I didn't get, like, it's 30-0. And then you start throwing me the ball. What do you want me to do? And then they were like, oh, why do you think that happened? He's like, I don't know. Ask Dabes. Like, he's just, that locker room is clearly broken up.
Porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you play 11 games, you've lost 9 of them. It's not fun showing up to work. Yeah. It's fun being an NFL player, but you can't walk around and pretend you're a good team. They all know they suck this year. They're ready to turn the page. Maybe Drew Lock gives them a little bit of excitement, but it's been a rough go. 37.5 is a super low number too. I mean, looking at the Giants here, like it's, man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses in a row. Ugh. Last win came over the Seahawks. I don't even know how they did that. Happened to the Seahawks, Cole.
Yeah, that was surprising. I think a lot of us had that pegged for a big Ken Bone Walker day, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
If we're going around the horn, giving some picks for this afternoon game.
Yeah, let's do it. Because Jack liked, as you said, the Dallas minus 3.5.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, I kind of like the over. I'm not going to play it though. That's not my pick here. Darius Slayton over 22.5 receiving yards. That's
okay,
what I'm seeing right now. So he's cleared in 7 out of his last 10 games. He didn't have a catch last week against Tampa Bay, but neither did Malik Neighbors until it was 30-0. So can't play too much into that. He ran a season low 58% of the snaps last week. But the reason I'm playing this is because Darius Slayton's the deep ball threat. And what does Drew Lock love to do? Throw the ball deep. Yeah. So we just need one catch for him to really hit this. And it's not like the Cowboys have been great against wide receivers this season. And no Trayvon Diggs. So that just means an easier matchup for Malik Neighbors, which means an easier matchup for Darius Slayton. I just want to look at his longest reception. Yeah, like some of these, like 28, 41, 43, 23. Like he can just hit this in one go.
Yeah.
So yeah. I definitely like that look, especially with Gunslinger.
22.5 on Bet Victor. Take the over Darius Slayton. I like that. Over 22.5. I'm going to hit that before kickoff in the next 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I will lean. I'm going to do rushing yards for our boy Rico Dowdle. Why not? It's a defense that gets run on a lot. Easy to get running yards. It is a favored team. So Dowdle, the rush attempts is 15.5, but I'm going to look at actual rushing yards. 67 minus 120 is the number on Bet Victor. That's a pretty standard day at the office for a number one running back to be in that territory. Never mind against the top 5 defense in terms of ease of running. I'll take Dowdle over 67 yards there.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, last week against Washington, they're a better run defense than the Giants are, but he was able to still put up 86 rushing yards. So yeah, especially if we're playing into this narrative where, the Cowboys should be leading, they're at home, Thanksgiving, take the minus 3.5. That should mean a lot of Rico running, especially in the second half. So I like that look a lot.
Let's get to our main game. The night game tonight is from Green Bay. It is Lambeau Field. It is Thanksgiving. There is snow in the forecast. It is just an iconic venue. You get snow, you get Green Bay, you get 80,000 people. You get the snowbanks in the end zones, guys jumping into the stands, doing the leap. It's got great potential. And then you add in a hot weather team and a quarterback where the narrative is, can't win in the cold. 0-2 in cold starts in his career. Miami at 5-6, into Green Bay at 8-3. Here are the lines, the numbers, the data. Packers, pretty heavy favorites at minus 175. Dolphins, money line plus 145. Your over-under is a big one, 47.5. That's 10 more points than we're expecting in the Giants-Cowboys game. Both the over and the under, minus 110. And the Packers favored by 3.5. It's interesting. Green Bay been real good. Lost their opener. They were in Brazil against Philadelphia, if you remember. That was an entertaining game where Barkley went off, and you thought, hey, this Barkley guy might work in Philly. Yeah, that was correct week one take. Sometimes we overreact. Sometimes we knew.
Well, like
since then,
Derek Carr MVP.
I think he will be an MVP. Yeah, I mean he's chased down Lamar in a big way with Baltimore being just okay of late.
Jordan Love hurt in that game as well, week 1.
That's right. They survived a couple starts of what? Malik Willis. Yeah. Geez. They win back-to-back games after that injury. They lose to Minnesota, who at the time, I believe, were undefeated week 4. They went, 5-0 before they lost Minnesota? Good team. Rip off 4 wins in a row over Rams, Cardinals, Texans. That's a good list. Jaguars. Okay. 3 out of 4. And then their other loss against the Detroit Lions, who we saw today, they're 11-1. They're a great football team. There are 3 losses this year. The opener, where their starting quarterback got hurt in Brazil on a crappy field, and a good team in Philly, an undefeated Vikings team at the time, and the Lions, who are the top team in the NFL by record at 11-1. The rest are just all wins here, including a quality win over San Francisco last week. It's a good Green Bay team. They're at home. Interesting on that side of the football. On the other, Miami has been pretty damn miserable. They lose to Tagovailoa in week 2 against Buffalo. That was a Thursday nighter that we talked about. They got shellacked in that contest. That was the first of 3 losses in a row. They do get a win over New England, then another 3 losses in a row. And now they've actually won 3 in a row. Rams, Raiders, and Patriots. So they have 5 wins this year, Tyson. 2 against the Patriots, 1 against the Jags, 1 against the Raiders. Those are all awful football teams. The only quality win-ish, the Rams. Mm-hmm. They did that, I want to say on Sunday night a couple weeks ago. It's not been inspiring, but the good news for Miami is they're starting to look like the Dolphins of last year with the healthy Tua, 3 wins in a row. Does that lead you to believe they can hang with the Packers? Because if this was 4 weeks ago, I feel like it'd be Green Bay -10. Like Miami looked awful and lost for a while there without Tua.
For sure. And I mean, it's just a completely different football team with Tua, obviously. Like, you get your franchise quarterback. It's obviously going to turn everybody around and help everybody on the offense. But it like really has. Like, it's not even close. Like, Tua, since he's come back, has been one of the best quarterbacks in terms of passer rating and all that. Like, all the stats, like passing yards, passing touchdowns, everything since he's come back in the last 5 weeks. So I kind of like the Dolphins in this matchup a little bit. You know, I'm not as worried as everyone's saying, oh yeah, Dolphins can't play in the cold. I mean, I know that they haven't been able to in the past, but I feel like before they were always kind of chucking the ball, you know, like, where's Tyreek? Where's Waddle? 40 yards down the field. All right, let's throw it. Mm-hmm. You know, now it's kind of a lot of dink and dunk in short area of the field, which is where you see Achane, Jonnu Smith kind of evolve and elevate. And I mean, it's been working for them so far. Granted, yes, those last 2 wins, not against great opponents, but a win's a win. You can't blame the schedule for who you play, right? So,
and they throttled the Raiders and New England. So yeah, it hasn't been close. And I will give you credit. You look at 5, that's how many games Tua has been back. Mm-hmm. They lose by 1 to the Cardinals, who are in the mix to win their division. That's a very unusual NFC West. They lose by a field goal in Buffalo. That's not an easy spot to play. That's a very good team. Mm-hmm. And then 3 wins in a row. So you're right. The last 5 weeks, they've actually played their best football of the season. And in fact, before their last 5 weeks, you're looking at 2 garbage wins and 4 losses. So yeah, you're kind of winning me over that this could be competitive. I do think Green Bay, though, there's a lot of pieces here that have worked very well. They've beaten some good football clubs. You blow out San Francisco by 28 last week. That's a quality win.
Is it though? No Trent Williams, no Brock Purdy.
No Purdy. Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Brandon Allen, he can't push the ball down the field. What did he finish with, under 100 passing yards?
Yeah, the Niners were horrible.
They were bad last week. Like, you guys are really making me feel uncomfortable at this game. I thought I knew what I was talking about on this game. Let's do this. We'll look at injuries and we'll get to the weather. We'll look at the sheet and see where we can maybe find some wiggle room for some good prop bets. Jack, let's start with the injuries for this evening game between the Finns and the Pack.
Yeah, start on the Packers side. Romeo Doubs, wide receiver, one of their top 3 wide receivers. They've kind of got a good collection of young receivers between Watson, Doubs, Reed,
Wicks.
So Wicks will probably step into a bigger role with Doubs out. Josh Myers, their starting center, is questionable. And then on the defensive side, Jair Alexander out. Their top cornerback, Edgerton Cooper, and Isaiah McDuffie, who are both linebackers, are also out.
Okay.
Dolphins side, the biggest injuries, Teron Armstead, their left tackle, Pro Bowler left tackle. He is questionable. Anthony Walker, inside linebacker, he is going to miss this game. And then Kendall Fuller will not return cornerback.
Okay. So there's some injuries. And I don't know, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but the running back that he was just activated off, and then the appendicitis, now he's non-football injury.
Marshawn
Lloyd.
Yeah.
It's fine. They got depth there, but it's just a curious story there because They had a 21-day window to activate him. Then he has the appendicitis. So like, hey, he's not going to be ready in time. But they found a way to NFI him. So whatever. Weather, Jack. It's Green Bay. It's almost December. Let's have a look. We're talking below 0 in Celsius. It is freezing and windy, gusting up to almost 25, Tyson.
Ooh.
We thought we had some weather last Thursday in Cleveland, and while they had the big fat snowflakes, it's colder and it's just about as windy here in Green Bay, and that's a notoriously difficult stadium to hit field goals in when we have the wind. Look at the chance of precipitation as well. You're like, okay, this could be good. Chance of snow and showers. Ooh. Oh, it's a Thanksgiving classic, I hope.
I hope so. I mean, we got so spoiled with the snow last week in Cleveland. Like, first half, it didn't look like there was going to be, but then like in a matter of maybe 3 minutes, the field was covered. So, I mean, if we get a little bit of that this week, do we kind of see the same outcome that we saw last week? You know, where low scoring, low event kind of game. I'm not sure, but kind of hoping not for, because, you know, on Saving Thursdays, we love our overs. So
yeah. Now, Jack, they had like 3 minutes of Jameis Winston mic'd up. Have you been playing that like all week since it dropped? Because I know you're a big.
I haven't heard any of it.
Our Steelers fans still a little sour. He was done with Winston before he played the Steelers either. So we'll leave that alone. Let's take a look at the defenses and how they stack up against each other, Tyson. Or I guess how they just stack up against offenses. This is where we love green. Green means playing against that defense at that position. You can expect to have more success than normal. My eyes immediately go to the brightest green, bottom left. That's Miami Dolphins against the tight end. They allow a lot of receptions to tight ends, averaging 6 a game. Mm-hmm. That's a ton. Tyler Kroft's a guy that we saw a lot in the opener. He's been injured here or there, but he's back. 13th. That's a top, nearly a top third for tight end receiving yards in the NFL. And on the other side, the Miami Dolphins, you can do okay things running the ball and catching the football if you're running back against this Green Bay defense. Immediately, my mind goes one place on that, and I think Tyson, yours does too, because they've got a dynamic pass catching back, don't they?
Yeah, you ever heard of him? Devon A-Chain, however you want to say it. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good. He's pretty good at catching the ball, and he's pretty good with the ball in his hands as well. So, I mean, that's definitely something you got circled. Even in a bad matchup, he seems to do well and get a lot of receiving yards. So in a favorable matchup, top 10 here with the Packers ranking 9th, maybe we go there. But one thing I wanted to point out, that wide receiver, these teams are great against wide receivers. 30th,
they are. Look at that. Yeah, top 10 in everything.
Yeah, like they're very good. Now, does that change with, you know, Jair Alexander out? Does that mean we haven't even talked about Tyreek Hill? Like, he has been abysmal lately. Like, I have him in fantasy, and I want to sit him. Like, I can't even play him right now.
Feels like a bubble guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, like he's not great. Waddle went off last week. He had 120 yards, something like that.
118 in a touchdown, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like he finally showed up after what was a terrible season. So, I mean, does it kind of change now with Jair out? I'm not entirely sure, because Jair missed some time before and they seem to do just fine without him. So I'm not really sure, especially if we get, you know, gusts of winds and stuff. You could maybe lean the under on one of those guys. But the scary thing is with their speed, one catch could go to the house. So then you lose all your bets if you're betting the under on that.
Yeah, no, that's true. But if we're just playing the colors, it's simple. You make one running back play for the Dolphins against this Green Bay defense, and you would say both tight end groups have a bit of opportunity for success here.
Yeah.
We talked already about Kroft, but at the other side of the football, Jonnu Smith has gone from a guy to a pretty central piece of this offense. Like, he's almost more important than Tyreek Hill over the last month.
Oh, he has been. And it's almost not close. Like, I just want to pull up his stats right now. Like, I think he had 90 receiving yards last week. I believe out of all of the passing options, Jonnu Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek, Jonnu actually has the highest receiving line for this week. So that's got to tell you something with how they're using him in the. Actually, that's not true. Tyreek has higher, but
well, good, great.
Higher than Waddle though.
9 for 87 and a touchdown last week for Johnny.
Yeah, and the week before he had 100 yards.
Yeah.
and 2 touchdowns.
Jeez.
Like he's been on fire, and in a favorable matchup like this, like I can't tell you to go away from Johnny Smith. Like, especially if we think the weather is going to play a factor in this game. Then
a tight end in a windy, shitty weather game. Yeah.
Exactly. Just like low A dot, like just get it. The ball in his hands, he's a playmaker. He's shown that the last few weeks. So why can't he do it again, especially in this favorable matchup?
Mike McDaniel's pumping him up in pressers this week too. It's interesting. You look at 12th. That's nearly top third of the league in terms of opportunity for the tight end. All right.
Just because it's not bright green, it's still green. So that's still a favorable matchup. You still want to target that, right?
This is how accurate Tyson Cole is. He's shading appropriate.
Yeah. I have a little
gradient.
Yes. Numbers, color coded, all that. It's great.
We're vaguely talking about areas we'd like to exploit if the numbers are good.
Mm-hmm.
Anything on that sheet, if you fire it back up there, that might be misleading, that is red, that you want to explore? Because I heard you flirting with some quarterbacking stats, and I'm just a little nervous when I see, better half of the league in all things quarterback, whether it's passing yards or rushing yards.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of going to be all about game script, I feel like.
Yeah.
How's this game going to go? Because think about last week. Jordan Love didn't really need to throw a lot, right? Because they just ran it with Josh Jacobs, 26 times, and in a game that they were killing them by, right? So they didn't necessarily need to throw. I think he had under 20 pass attempts, but is this going to be a more competitive game? Jordan Love loves to throw the football. Like normally his pass attempts are upwards of 30, and he didn't even hit 20 last week. So that's kind of where I see a little bit of hesitancy. And Tua, there was on here, they don't allow too many, the Green Bay Packers don't allow too many pass attempts per game, but that doesn't mean their completion percentage is low. They could be completing a high percent of those passes, but it's not that many attempts, right? The one thing is obviously the Packers can be exploited in the run game. We see that on the sheet with, the higher than or top half of the league against rush yards, especially good against, receiving yards. And if this game is going to be, bad weather where there's a lot of wind and all that, then Tua might have to start throwing to become unpredictable, especially in the short area of the field.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get to our props, because I love following the colors. I like logic. I feel like sometimes when we chase narratives, we swing and miss when the data just, hey, it was right there in front of us. Let's start with the ones we like. I like Tucker Croft. I like the receptions chase. And again, if it's going to be a little nasty or windy, we like guys closer to the quarterback. They're easier completions to make in theory. The only catch here is if you look at Kraft's receptions, it's an even 3 and -50. If that's 3.5 and that number is a little nicer, I'm all in. I don't love -150, although I do think he absolutely clears it. So maybe I just take the money and shut my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing around a little bit on BetVictor. If you go in and do the same game parlay, you can try and get it up to 3.5.
Okay.
But you obviously have to kind of include that with another thing. So I didn't want to necessarily suggest that. But I mean, if you don't mind slurping a little bit of juice here with the -150, I mean, the 3 is fairly safe, especially in this matchup. He's gone over 3 in just 3 out of 11 games this year, so that's not great. But he's pushed twice. So 5 out of 11. You'll get your money back at least if it pushes. But what I looked at that I liked a lot is, so Romeo Doubs is out. And I think that that's kind of a bigger deal than we're thinking, because you think of this pass offense, like Jaden Reed, he's like short area of the field. You got Christian Watson,
deep guy,
that'll burn you downfield. But what's Romeo Doubs? Like he's kind of the middle of the field, right? And now you don't really have that. So how is that going to work? And I feel like what I looked at, I went through the past 2 seasons because this is Kraft's second year. Without Reed, he's played 1 game. He had 4 receptions on 6 targets. Without Doubs, he's played 1 game, 4 catches, 5 targets. Without Watson, he's got 4 catches in 5 out of his last 6 games without Watson. So when one of those receivers is out, Kraft is more of a focal point in the offense.
Well, he clears the number every time. That's a great point. Yeah, that's interesting. I have been calling him Croft. I don't know if he's related to the Tomb Raider girl. Probably not. It's Kraft. But yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. When they're missing one of these pieces in the offense that we do, it's a lot of parts. Yeah. You never really know who's going to go off in that Green Bay receiving core. But what we do seem to know, thank you for the data, is that when one of the big three are missing, Kraft is there to pick up the slack.
Exactly. And like, that's without even looking at the matchup that we already talked about. Like the Dolphins struggle. They're a great defense, but they struggle against tight ends. Third most receptions to tight ends. But what I like the most that I saw in my data, they allow the most targets in the NFL to tight ends. 8.9 per game. I mean, that does come down in receptions, but still, if he's getting a ton of targets, he's going to come up with at least 3, hopefully 4 for our bet here.
Like it. Yeah. And I've laddered him as well. As you noted, you can change that number if you dive into the BetVictor app.
Yeah.
Let's stay with the other tight end. We got Jonnu Smith highlighted there. We talked about how integral he's been to the Miami offense. We're talking nearly 200 yards, Jack, and like 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. That's wild.
Very good.
15 receptions over there. Yeah, I mean, I like it. And it was another favorable matchup on the other side. So
yeah, it was. Also,
I mean, yeah, he's got 15 receptions in his last 2 weeks.
Jeez.
Like Jack kind of talked about, nearly 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, he's just been a monster. And what I kind of like, he's stepped up when Tyreek and Waddle have been kind of bad this season, right? And what I like is, I keep saying this, but the weather, when that happens and you have 2 burners on the outside, you got to look over the middle of the field. And Jonnu Smith doesn't have a very high ADOT. I don't have it written down, but it is much lower than Waddle and Tyreek. So he's just going to be the focal point in those short areas of the field, which I think they're going to have to attack, especially in this matchup.
We get that swirling wind in Labo that's famously difficult for field goal kickers. We get some weather. I mean, doesn't it not just feel like a game where they could just dump it off to Achane and Jonnu Smith all day with relative ease compared to trying to link up on a long pass to one of these burners? Like, the weather script plays right into tight end and running back receptions, I think.
Yeah, that's where my head's at as well. And I feel like last week I told you guys, I was like, screw weather. Who cares about weather? Like, it's not real. And what happened last week?
It's snowflakes this big, but I don't know.
Size of golf ball. So now I'm like, all right, weather, I'll put some respect on your name. Okay. I'll appreciate you this week. So hopefully you don't burn me.
Next season, you have to have like a 3D color matrix that weather's factored in as well. Like I'm ready. It's incorporate that as a data point, but it's not easy.
No.
So we like both the tight ends, and the other green area we looked at was the incredibly talented Devon Achane, who is incredibly quick, deceptive, electric, injury prone perhaps, but he seems to be going real good right now. And Raheem Mostert may as well just be a fossil at the Tyrell Museum. He's dust right now. It's if anything, it's a little Jalen Wright here or there, but this is Achane's backfield.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you've kind of seen this season where, Mostert is really a non-factor. Like, sure, he might get some rush attempts, but it's mostly like when Achane comes off the field, they're putting in Jalen Wright, like you said. So Mostert's kind of a fossil, but obviously we do like Achane. Favorable matchup, over 30.5 receiving yards. This line's just low for me.
Yeah.
I feel like he's
clear catches for him when he's right. He's
buzzing
around, flying with a blocker in front of him. See ya.
Especially when we consider, the game script, right? How it's going to be a lot of dink and dunk area of the field, and Achane's perfect in that role. He's cleared 5 out of 11 games this season, which is kind of surprising. But when he does clear this, he blows it out, and it's not even close.
Yeah, and honestly, you can throw out the stats without Tua. They couldn't get anything done on offense.
Yeah, well, I've got the stats with Tua here. He's cleared in 5 out of 7 with Tua this season, and he averages 46.3 receiving yards per game.
Yeah,
so
good.
That's phenomenal. And we talked about they allow the 9th most receiving yards to running backs, 37.9. I did a little bit of route participation, kind of nerdy stuff here. So
sounds nerdy. Let me know. Tell me more. I'm interested.
So go route participation. 89.7%. He's run like when he's on the field and it's pass play, he's running a route. So pretty much all the time. He runs a route 26.2% out of the slot, which leaves 63.5% out of the backfield. So then I went over and looked at how the the Packers do against receiving yards in the backfield. So they allowed 33 receiving yards per game out of the backfield when, a receiver runs a route, whether it's, because they can do trickery, right? Like a wide receiver, like you'll see Debo kind of run out of the backfield, Tyreek, but 33 yards just on average, that's this line. Easy. And I lean the yards over reception. Just, dude, they don't allow a high catch rate, but when they do, they allow a lot of yards. So one thing here, out of the backfield, they allowed the second highest ADOT. Now, it's only 1 yard, but when you think about it, when you're throwing to the backfield, a lot of it is usually like right along the line of scrimmage. Like it's not, a lot of these teams had negative ADOT because it's behind the line of scrimmage, right? So to be the second highest at 1, what does that kind of tell me? It tells me that HN is already kind of like up the field a little bit, and he's got speed already, and he's in the open field. And if you're going to give HN speed, like a head start with his speed in the open field, he's just going to burn the first guy for sure, and probably more defenders down the line. So
he might be dancing in the end zone. Like you give this guy time and space, he's too quick and deceptive. Like that if they can do that with any regularity, the Miami Dolphins are an incredibly dangerous offense. Like we've seen that
for sure. And this one's probably my favorite play. Like if you're on a book, I mean, you can do it on Bet Victor. Alternate that up, maybe go 40 plus receiving yards, 50, because in some of these games.
Can I tell you what I just did?
Did you just do that?
While you were talking, I'm like, I don't forget, you dummy. So I went full unit at 40, 3/4 of a unit 50, half a unit 60, quarter of a unit 70.
Whoa, that's high. I mean, I like it.
And then it's like no one's here saying there's guaranteed money, but if you believe that HN has the ability to go off, don't settle for just the -110 over-under number. Go chase a higher ceiling.
For sure.
We've seen games where he's had huge receiving yards. All he has to do is break one. Like they're at their 20, he slips a tackle, he's gone. You win all the bets.
For sure. And I mean, like just this season, laddering up would have been profitable for you. Week 1, 76 yards. This is all with
there
two.
You go.
76, 69. Nice. 50, 58. Like he's
blasting past this total.
Yeah, exactly.
30 and a half. Go flirt with 40, flirt with 50.
Yeah. I laddered it up to 50. So like,
and honestly, we had that Thursday epic between Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Did a lot of laddering that day with Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. That's done very, very well. We had a healthy day at the old Harry Broadcaster Sportsbook. It was a good day.
For sure. And it's just a perfect matchup, especially like to ladder because of the weather. I keep saying this. And
well, good.
Putting some respect on weather's name.
Yes. Okay, so those are our 3 bets. We like Jonnu Smith, -133, over 4.5 receptions. He's been huge the last 2 weeks in the Miami offense. Tucker Kraft, like the cheese slice, -150 is not a number we love, but 3 receptions. That feels like cake.
Yeah.
And Devon Achane, receiving yards over 30.5. We've talked about laddering. We would encourage you that on Kraft and Achane, just because we like those matchups so much. Is there anything else that you're curious about? You did sort of mention some passing stuff with the Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wanted to open this end up here because I didn't have a third bet that I necessarily loved. I mean, I love Jonnu as well, but I had so many more that I kind of wanted to throw out here.
Throw us a few, and Jack and I will pick one that we like or one that like, I don't know.
All right. I'll give you a little bit of stats here. So first, you said passing. We'll go Tua over 23.5 completions. I honestly never play this, but just looking at his stats, since his return, he's cleared 4 out of 5, and he averages 26. So he's blowing this number out of the water. And if we're especially accounting for the gusts of winds and all that and the short area of the field, he'll just dink and dunk it and get the easy completion there. Now, I heard since he's come back over the last 5 weeks, he averages one of the lowest time per throw, I think. Like,
sure. How quick is he getting out of his hand?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but like 2.3 seconds. Like he catches the ball and it's out of his hands. Like he's just moving it super quick. So if he's doing that, that should be a lot short area, right? So
sure,
I like that. Now it was the Packers allow middle of the pack in terms of completions, 20.2. So not great, but I mean, just to play it too lately. I kind of like that play. The other one is Jordan Love to throw a pick. He's done it in every
Ooh.
single game except for last game.
Really?
When he did not have to throw. Yeah. He had 1, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1.
He always finds a way to throw a horrible pick.
Well, and here's the thing, guys. Does he mind taking stabs down the field
No,
to
he
chase a
does
Christian
not.
one? No, he'll heave it up there. And
Yeah.
so that does lead to, okay, well, now what I thought was an open guy is a 50-50 ball, or oops, that's double coverage, or there's a gust of wind. Now it's hanging up. I love that, guys. I do.
Yeah. And I mean, the Dolphins' pass defense is really good lately. I mean, you got a lot of threats back there. They average 0.91 interceptions per game, which is top 10, I believe. So still favorable like matchup where this Dolphins defense turns the ball over, and so does Jordan Love. He throws a lot of picks. So
Okay. So we got our 3 core bets. I like those the most, but I don't mind either of those. I am a little weary of completions. I know we were excited about the Jameis attempts. The game script went the total wrong direction. Sometimes you think
we'll
you know
throw
the game
that
script because Vegas tells you, and it's just not right at all. Like last week, we were sure Pitts were going to be leading the whole game. Really didn't play out that way. It's quite the opposite.
Mm-hmm. And one more little nerdy data thing that I picked up on.
Yeah,
I think the Packers might struggle in this game, especially in the middle of the field, because Dobbs, I think he's the most relied upon weapon in this offense for Jordan Love. Like you have games where Jaden Reed explodes, right? And you have games where Christian Watson explodes, but you also have games where those guys kind of take a night off. But for Romeo Dobbs, like whenever I look at the stat line, he's always around like 4 catches, 40, 50, 60, 70 yards, somewhere around there. So he's always like a relied upon weapon in this offense.
Yeah.
And what I looked up, like, I just think they're really going to struggle in the middle of the field because Watson has ADOT this season, 18.7, which is super big. Reed, 8.3. Dobbs, 12.4.
It's that middle of the field you're talking
Middle
about.
of the field, exactly. So, I mean, we might see the Packers struggle a little bit. We might like the Dolphins plus 3.5. Screw the cold narrative for Tua. Who knows?
I do love someone shattering a narrative, but I also kind of think we made the case that Tucker Kraft could be the guy that fills that void. So we'll see how it plays out. Jack, any other final thoughts on this one?
Do you guys think Tyreek Hill's is due for a game? He's had one 100-yard game this season. It came week 1, so it's 10 weeks without a 100-yard game.
Jacksonville too.
Yeah, against Jacksonville.
You can't say no because he's a guy. If he hits 1, that's 80 yards.
Yeah,
and then it's like, he'll get the rest somewhere else. And if he hits 2 of them, you're like, oh shoot, I should have allowed him to 150. Like it's just, it's Tyreek. Of course, he's due for one of those games. Yeah, I just don't know that it's going to be in below 0 at Lambeau with potentially snowflakes.
Yeah.
But you're right. It could happen at any time, Jack.
No Jair, too.
Yeah, no Jair. I don't know how much the weather changes what the Dolphins are going to try and do. I know
They'll
it's
take some
pretty cool.
stabs, right?
They'll do what they do. So I'm going to take his over tonight. It's set at 62 right now on BetVictor. I just think he's so doing it. These are the types of games where Tyreek comes out and he's doing flips. He likes the spotlight. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, fellas.
Him this week, and now I can't because Jack's believing in him.
Yeah. Well, I think you got tough spot to be in. Yeah. Jonnu Smith, over 4.5 receptions. Tucker Kraft, over 3 receptions. Devon Achane, over 30.5 receiving yards. And then a few other ideas for you lobbied out by the gents. Appreciate that. We also like Rico Dowdle this afternoon. We'll see how that one goes. Fellas, what's saving your Sunday? We look forward to the weekend. Jack is witnessing one of the more entertaining Steelers seasons post Roethlisberger of his life. Tell us about their matchup this weekend and how geeked you are.
Yeah, they are going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati coming off a bye. Pittsburgh's got a little bit more rest coming off that horrible loss Thursday night against the Browns. The Bengals can hang. They haven't been good this year, but their offense is elite. Joe Burrow's having probably one of the best seasons of his career. Higgins seems healthy. Chase is dominating.
Both Chases. Chase Brown and Jamar Chase. Yeah.
So I'm not feeling great about this game. This
great offense against great defense. It shouldn't be boring.
This stretch for the Steelers coming up is really tough. Like they've got the Bengals twice, Ravens again, Eagles, Chiefs, and the Browns one more time. So yeah, but
couple other games this weekend. Tyson, quickly, which one are you eyeballing?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's 2 really good ones. I'll just pick one. Eagles, Ravens, Battle of the Birds.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to be so exciting. Like
in Baltimore. And again, Ravens odd. They're getting it done, but it's not the traditional way. It's not with a suffocating defense. They dare you to pass on them. Chargers couldn't do it on Monday night. Shorter week for them. As
I mean, we got to put some respect on the Eagles. Like they could be the second best team in football right now.
There's not a better running back right now, and you know what? That game has the best two probably. Henry and Saquon. That'll be fun if you like running the football. And I'm saying it's last call for San Fran. They're in Buffalo. You don't win here, it's starting to look like the Himalayas trying to get back in the top of that division. Now, luckily, no one's ran away on you. It's, that clump of Seattle, Arizona, and the Rams hanging around, but it's a tough schedule. Niners, Buffalo, I love the makings of that game. So that's the same last Sunday.
I think that Niners are done. I think
they're favored by a touchdown out of the Bills there, right?
Well, Fred Warner just came out, said he's got a fractured ankle. I mean,
don't need to tell anyone this stuff, eh? No injury reports?
No, of course not. Brock Purdy, he hasn't thrown a pass yet as of yesterday.
One on Wednesday. One.
Yeah, sorry, one. Yeah. But like Trent Williams isn't playing. Like
it's not good.
No, and apparently the weather, it's already
it is Buffalo and it's almost
Buffalo,
December.
Right? So I don't know. I don't have high hopes for this Niners team. I mean, you need the win, and I don't think you're going to get it on Sunday.
We'll close out. One game's gone final today. Detroit 23-20 over Chicago. We were talking about getting set up for the show. We just missed the last couple plays. Chicago had moved it into field goal territory against Detroit. We thought, how did this finish, Jack? You said you pulled this up.
Yeah, I got the last 7 seconds here. So before all of this, take a look. They have one timeout, and they burned about 20 seconds trying to get to the line here. So just a complete coaching disaster. They don't use the timeout. They finally get the play off with 7 seconds. It's 3rd and 6. They don't even try to get into field goal range. Caleb just throws a.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Going for it all.
Going for it all. You need 4 or 5 yards, call a timeout, and kick a field goal. You're going into overtime.
Got the timeout too. Oh my God.
I wish I had the full video because this is about 20, 30 seconds before this play even goes off where they could have called a timeout. They're trying to figure out what play to run, what's going on.
They got 2. Yeah, it's 3rd down. You got 4th too. Like all you need is 5 yards there, and you got to bring in Santos. Yeah. Gross.
What are they doing?
They're going to have a high draft pick again, friends.
Yeah.
Almost beat a 10-win club, but instead fall to 4-8. Your Chicago Bears, ladies and gentlemen. Draft no lineman.
They needed 4 yards to get in field goal range. What are you doing?
We'll talk next week. Enjoy your American Turkey Day. Thanks so much to our presenting sponsor, Bet Victor. It is Saving Thursday. Thanks for watching.